Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, listen, Jeffrey Jacklich from Napa, California. What's up there, dude?
Hey, it's kind of a windy, blustery, kind of a rainy, mixed up day today. But Napa Valley is always a great place to be, no matter what the weather. So, wine.
What's this whole global warming thing? Come on,
I don't
raining.
know.
It's cold. It's don't
You know,
get me started. Don't get me
yeah.
started.
It's wine, here in the Napa Valley, when you just open up the faucet in your kitchen sink, wine just flows out of it. That's the secret here in the valley.
That's what happens in Dublin with Guinness, right?
That's right.
Apparently, from the Guinness plant, all these little tributaries going to everyone's house. So, well, look, cool. I've got you on the hot seat today.
Bring it.
It's gonna be so easy for you. I don't even know why I'm even asking this question, but. And I'm not going to tee up if you've been with us at all.
It sounds like a setup to me.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you guys have been with us at all, you know the three types of players that we're trying to help. If this is your first episode with us, this is going to be a shorter one because we are got a little crunch time going today. But check another one of our episodes, and you can hear about three types of players we're trying to help. But there is one thing I want to remind you guys of, that if you want to jump on a free coaching call, 10-minute free coaching call with me and or Jeff, we could do a three-way conference call on this thing, that we're happy to offer that to you. It's free. It's complimentary. Same thing, redundant, but 10 minutes. But you got to bring one thing to this call that you have not figured out, that you think that if you could figure out this one thing right now, that would be the big domino, that if you knock that thing over, all the other ones, it would just start this long thing, and your game would go from here to boom, boom. One thing. The way to get in touch with us on this, to schedule that call, is shoot an email to letusknow@goldballhunting.com. Jeffrey, here's the question for you today, man. You all right? Strapped in?
I'm
ready to go?
Ready to go. Yeah.
You're not feeling too tight on this? You're ready to receive?
No, I had 2 cups of coffee, and I'm ready to.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. Look. So in a recent episode, we talked about the no peaking, or I should say about the peaking response, about how we. And for me especially, there's only one shot that I've got in my game where I instinctively, naturally do not want to kind of, whoa, what's going to happen here, right?
Right.
And that's my baseline slice, underspin, backhand drive.
Right.
Just for some reason, maybe I was a left-handed baseball hitter, so maybe that's because of that. But all the other ones, I have to discipline myself. I have to train myself every time on the court, and even warm up in matches. I have to train myself. The warm up for me when I'm hitting is all about that.
Yeah,
I'm not
going,
gee, do I have my forehand today? I've got my forehand if I can just keep my head still, quiet, my eyes quiet, and not look up. The way that you described it in a recent episode was, we have 2 modes that we're in when the ball's coming, and when we're making contact, and when we're finishing, we're in receive mode.
Right.
And yet when the ball is leaving or at contact, we are now producing send mode.
Right. Right.
I want you to do a little deeper dive on send mode.
Okay.
And sort of, how do you know in a match? Because sometimes we're up against a good guy or a good gal, and we want to get out of send mode. We don't really want the ball. We want to go, here, get. You're
right.
Get out of it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
So how do you, as a player, or how do you teach? How do you coach for people staying more? And here we go with the ooey gooey crap, staying in the present, staying in send mode where you're not getting rid of the ball too early.
All right. Okay, so a big part of staying of being patient enough to get to send mode, just to get to that part of the deal, is to receive the ball in a place that allows you to actually wait for the ball. So it's not an independent function that's separate from receive. Sending.
So you're saying if we get too much into improv, where we're having to improvise our standard stroke,
right? Yeah, you're already out.
That's when we can get into send mode way too quick.
Right, you're already out of the sequence, right? So the two, you can't have one without excuse me, you can't have one without the other. So, I talk a lot about, framework, hitting the ball from a platform, a balanced platform, and those kind of dynamics. And in order to do that, in order to receive a ball comfortably, I need to be stable. My body, my position, my posture, all that needs to be stable on the ground. And it doesn't matter whether it's open stance, closed stance, or some kind of hybrid in between. It's irrelevant, that part of it. Are you stable on the ground? Can you hit the ball on top of both feet, standing on top of both feet? Don't worry about transferring weight. Don't worry about, hitting the ball out in front. And I'm exaggerating this with my hand in the screen because, can you hit the ball when the ball's next to you? And so that requires that the ball is inside your framework, inside the natural geometry of your body, meaning your arm is only so long. It goes shoulder to elbow is so long, elbow to wrist, wrist to hand, and then the racket. And when you're in your optimum framework, the ball needs to be in that framework in order for us to hit this kind of natural, what we've talked about before, this natural implicit stroke that is born out of the kinetic chain, right? So sending the ball is literally a byproduct of receiving the ball. So I can't have one without the other. And so sending then becomes a much more patient process and a much more patient activity than one might think. Even in the throes of things happening very fast, balls being hit hard, linear and even reflex volleying, it happens inside your framework. It's and it's not that you're never going to have to reach for a ball or dive for a ball like that, but really if you looked at a match, how many balls did you actually get so extended that you were on one foot extended, off balance, and that? I mean, we could probably look at the match and kind of go, oh, that happened twice. It's not as common as one might think in their head that I'm really struggling being balanced when I hit the ball. That's a different issue. I'm not talking about the extreme points where the guy has hit or the gal has hit some great shot and you gotta dive, right? You gotta go there. So sending becomes this much more of a comfortable process when I allow myself to receive the ball into it. And I like to use two examples when I do that. One, golf. Golf, guess what? The ball is just sitting there in front of you, laughing at you, daring you to hit it. And the ball, though, is within your framework. It's inside your framework at the club, your stance, and everybody has their pre-ball, pre-swing process. The waggle, whatever it might take, right? But the ball is just sitting there. So we have an opportunity to actually create the right spacing, all this stuff, and there it is. It's being hit inside your framework. And what I'll do sometimes is take a student and put a tennis ball on the court, and I'll say, okay, you have a 5-iron in your hand, and I want you to line up to hit this ball toward the umbrella off the court. And I've never had anybody put the ball outside their stance.
Well, and plus they do not have to go running over there like Happy Gilmore.
Right.
The ball's sitting there, and you get to platform yourself.
Correct. And so with that, the idea though is that's when I kind of get them to understand the ball has to be inside your framework to hit it. And so your grip, what type of grip you're using, that'll help dictate where that actual contact point is. But it's still within your body mechanics and the geometry of your body and your framework. The other example I'll use is a baseball batter, right? He lines himself up kind of with a few different variables. The pitcher do I like to stand a little bit in front of the plate? Do I want to crowd that? Do I want to stand a little bit behind the plate? That. But basically, he's waiting for the ball to come somewhere into his framework to have the best opportunity to get a base hit.
Sure.
And so it's the batter that tends to reach, that gets out in front there looking for the ball. That's the guy that never gets out of the minors. He's not a home run hitter. He's not a this or he's not a that, because he's not in his platform. He's not in his framework hitting the ball. So I like to use those two examples of hitting a ball from a stable platform.
When I worked with Mr. Stowe in the beginning, one of the things we worked on was my volley. And when I got there, my volley was in perpetual send mode. It was,
so
because
tripping over the racket in front of you, right? Kind of out there like.
No, I was falling over the net.
Yeah, lunging at the ball.
And some of that wasn't my fault. That one of the teaching cliches with a volley was, well, you want to volley out in front.
Right.
So I took massive liberties with out in front. And so I was always in send mode, meaning I wanted to get rid of the ball. I didn't really want to have it.
Right.
So he brilliantly, after feeding me, a series of balls, going, this guy, I don't know. He's looking at the gate thinking maybe I should just send him out through the gate.
That's right.
So he brought out a stool.
Yep.
And it was a stool that had the rungs around the bottom where he put the stool right around, I don't know, probably right around the tee. And he had me angle myself sitting on the stool, so I was facing, my chest was facing the net post.
The net post, yep.
On my forehand volley. And he said, I'm just going to underhand, and he was pretty close to me. He says, I'm going to underhand a ball to you, and let's see. So, you know the story.
Did you fall off the stool on the first one?
God, talk about ultimate send mode. I mean, he underhand feeds me the ball. I'm so far out in front trying to reach for it, I fall off the stool. And he doesn't say a word. He just kind of looks at me and little RCA,
right,
dog. And then he says, get back in the stool. I get back in the stool and I position myself again. He underhand feeds me another ball. Sure as not, again, I fall off the stool. So he says, this time he just said to me, wait. Wait. And so I get back in the stool and I'm just fighting. I'm fighting to wait. And all of a sudden I wait and boom. I hit this volley that just is like a rocket. And I'm still sitting there.
Right.
I haven't fallen flat on my face. And he goes.
It was like, the moment where all of a sudden there's a glow on the court. And, right.
It was totally. I mean, I've had a lot of epiphanies, a lot of aha moments in my tennis playing thing. That may have been the biggest one.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you're talking about here, is the difference between being in constant receive mode. I had now found my balance, my posture to receive a volley, where the stroke technique then has a chance to work, as opposed to always being in send mode where you're so far out in front and you're so off balance that whatever stroke technique you've worked on never gets a chance to work. So that was a big deal for me. And when I felt that, and to this day, it's just hysterical. I mean, I've got guys who are volleying or gals are volleying.
Right.
And I just go, here.
Let me go get this and just
sit.
And you want to put like a little pillow down in front of the stool, because they're coming off at the very first one. They're gone, right?
And look, you know what? You can do this drill. You don't need a stool, but you need something where you actually have to get your feet off of the court.
Yeah.
Right. And so then what he did is after I sort of felt it, he said, well, now stand up, but you can't take a step.
Right.
And so he would feed me a ball. Sure enough, first couple of stepping.
Oh, sure. Right. There you go.
He goes, wait. So
I can tell by the way you're saying wait that you understood he meant that.
That's right. That's right. So Well, that's good. That's great,
Yeah.
Jeff.
And I'll add this to it. The very last thing I'd add to it is, and this is just like a reminder, a little cue is don't send your hands and your racket to do what your feet should be doing. So even though we have to run through a volley sometimes, we literally have to be on the move, striking the volley.
Sure.
My framework should still be just patiently right there, and I'm literally going to run the contact point up to the ball. So don't send your hands and the racket to do what your feet should be doing ultimately all the time. So there you go. That's a.
I'm gonna have to write that one down. Don't feet. I mean, don't hand. Yeah. No, I mean, there's no question. I mean, you know, I think we still have some time here. Let me just check. Yeah. So there's another drill. I remember I was in Memphis, Tennessee for about a year working at a club there, and there were a couple of Australian guys, really good players, who invited me to come over to their club from, a couple days a week, and I was still learning how to play, and they had this drill, this volley drill. I don't know what they called it, but these two guys were from Australia. Maybe they picked it up there. But what they would do is they had this kind of a rope thing where, and the rope thing had some flexibility. It wasn't like, but they would literally put the rope around your arms and your chest.
Yeah, right.
And they would feed, and they'd be, you'd be up at net, and they'd be on the other side, and they'd be hand feeding you balls from side to side. And my thing would be go, oh, God, and you would learn exactly what you're talking about. That you've got to move the entire package. You can't reach for the ball. You have to move the entire package. And look, a lot of guys when they start moving up to net, they're sort of bisecting, what they perceive as their two extreme angles, and so they're in the middle of the court. And the one thing they don't want to do is kind of give up that territory. So a ball is played off to the right. I used to do this all the time. I'd leave my left leg in there, but I'd reach out. I'd reach out here, butcher the volley, as opposed to what I learned there from that simple drill in Memphis was you move the whole entire package over there, out of the middle of the court. You execute the volley the way it should be played, and now you're on balance and you can actually recover.
Yes.
Whereas before, I'm off balance, I'm butchering, and I'm taking another step away from the middle of the court afterwards.
You got to commit, and the process of hitting, recovery, ready position, shuffling back, all those things. Actually, there is a beautiful rhythm to it, and you will find that at first it may seem like, well, there's not enough time to do all this, and I would just say, there seems to be enough time when Roger does it. And he's hitting a ball against and receiving balls that are upwards of 100 miles, one after the other. So even if you're on the baseline or at the net, there's way more time than you believe there is. And the reason it doesn't feel like there's time is because your ingredients are out of order. There's an order to it, and it's a repeatable order. And that is what you see when you see somebody hitting a ball, volleying, or at the baseline. You're seeing this repeatable standard, do X, do Y, do Z, and all in exactly the same order every time. And that rhythm is what's also become sustainable then for being able to hit 3-4 balls in a row actually in the court and make
in
that
the court.
In the court.
Is that a concept in tennis?
It is sometimes.
Okay.
Anyway,
good,
there you go.
Well, listen, that's a great answer, and it's super valuable. It's super valuable that you stay in receive mode a lot more than
a lot longer than you think.
Yeah. We're going to shut it down because we've got a coaching call to make here, Jeff. And guys, if you want to get onto a free 10-minute coaching call with me and or Jeff, we can do that. The way to do that is to schedule it by sending us an email. Let us know at goldballhunting.com. We'll get that set up at your convenience because we're here to please.
We're here to serve.
There you go. At this point of the episode, Jeff, we've got some tasks that we want our viewer or our listener to please help us out with.
Indeed. Like us, share us, subscribe to us, and please let us know what you think down below, and comment.
Yeah. I mean, seriously,
love to hear from you.
The comments are so important.
Yeah.
Whether you want to send us an email or leave a comment, it's really important that we hear from you guys, so that we know. It just helps us better understand what are the specific things that you guys need help with. So please be sure to do that. As always, got to get out there today. Help someone else. Have a spectacular day. Jeffrey, we'll do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.